where they actually don't segment their lists of focusing client where they should work, right? They have no idea, the most of the companies. It's like when I'm asking a question like, okay, who's your target group? Have you segmented your lists of companies that they actually want to work with? And they're like, and I'm like, what? You haven't even done that, right?
Okay, nice. Jerry, so glad to have you here today, and we're happy to be able to pick your brain.
Thank you for having me.
You just been assigned a really nice prize, right?
Yes, I have.
Tell us a
I'm
little
so
bit
proud.
about that. Sales coach.
Number one sales coach in Sweden. That's the prize, and I've been nominated on the top 50 list for 4 years now. And this year they actually announced the first win, or the one on the first place, and that was exciting, of course. I mean, I'm celebrated this for a few days now, so
yeah, and that you have to do to get to a point where you get signed a price like this. Like you have
grind
grind.
every morning, every day. I mean, it's been like a travel for me. I've been doing a lot of things in many years to actually get to the point where I am right now. So, of course, it's no magic stick in this one. It's actually grinding and hard work.
We've been knowing each other for a long time, and
Yeah.
I know you, but some of the people that are going to watch this might not know you, and I just want to give them some background on you. You can tell it yourself, and I'll fill in if I feel something's missing.
Yeah, great. Yeah. My name is Jerry Månsson. I'm 53 years old. I always think a lot before I tell that because it's kind of, I forget some numbers during the years. After 50, it kind of stop counting. So I live in Bromma, a place outside Stockholm and in Sweden. And I live with my wife, Frederica, and William, 17, and Hugo, 15, and Charlie, 10. And it's a fantastic life. So my background is from sport, actually. So I started wrestling when I was Greek-Roman wrestling when I was 4 years old, and I got beaten from my brother in early days. He was 3 years older than me, so I got beaten every training, every practice, and I started thinking like, okay, ugly ears, no money, and beaten by my brother. It was like the future wasn't looking so bright. So I started going for soccer pro instead, and that's not so easy, right? Every kid out there want to be a soccer pro today. So started off my journey on Brommapojkarna, a Swedish big club here in Sweden, and took travel and I lived on my soccer for 8 years as professional. And after that, I actually found the next passion in my life, sales, and been doing sales in different type of angles and positions in like 20 plus years or something like that.
We did that kind of side by side, or in the same group of companies at least, for a couple of years.
We did.
How long were you there?
I was there for 4 years in different positions, and it was so fun. I hope you agree because
Yeah.
it was fun. I mean, we were planning to taking over the world, right?
Yeah.
A little bit hybrid, right? And we aimed high, but it was so fun and nice. And met actually during that years, I actually met so many brilliant people,
Yes.
really good and brilliant people that got their first step and then took their different positions and rise. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like 90% of the old colleagues from that group is either like entrepreneurs or they on some really high white collar type of consultancy gig, or marketing manager or CEO somewhere. It's
Yeah, exactly. So why didn't we fix that thing? We didn't make it, right? It
yeah,
was 13 companies actually gathering together and becoming one, and that was a struggle, of course.
yeah. That's interesting times, right?
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, I developed a lot on those years, like both in sales, marketing, and people skills, I think.
Yeah, I remember you very good at that time where you were actually a technical person. You still are, of course, but
Mhm.
the personal skills, like interest of people, wasn't on your highest end at those time. I remember that well. But I mean, look at you now, Christian. You did your travel as well, and your interest of people and personalities is on top today. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that from you. It really warms here. Um, so you train a lot of high performing salesmen and organization CEOs. What would your best tips be for company owners and CEOs that want to build and scale their sales and performing at their peak, like the one you work with?
Hmm. First of all, take help. I mean, that's why I have a profession and a lot to do. The one that takes help, and don't think that you can actually own your own business and scale it up yourself at all times. Sometimes in your own travel, when you be in companies, I think it's really good to have someone from the outside that actually are just focusing on one thing, right? Leadership and progress and sales and techniques and all that stuff that I actually bring to the table. So sometimes I think they get a little bit like lost in their head, thinking that we're really good at this. Yeah, I totally have full respect for that you're good at this, but this is the only thing that me as a coach do every day, every week in different organizations. So imagine if you're really on the top of something, and the only thing you do is build yourself to get even better from that. And I don't have to think about like organizations and staff and all that other things that actually you need to think about when you're running your business. So my focus is only getting on board, looking from my perspective, actually how I can grow their business and grow them as a leader or vision is. That's the first thing, right?
And
Um,
to become a high performers,
mm,
there's obviously a lot of routines to it. How does one day in your life look like? If you run me through
oh.
what happens, when does the alarm goes off, Jerry?
Yeah, I love that word, high performer, because people keep asking me like, how do you become a high performer? And the first thing that they actually tell me, like, I want to be a high performer. Okay, nice. What's a high performer? I ask them, and they're like different views of that, of course. And then the second thing is like, I asking them like, do you meditate? And they're like, no. Start meditating. Start off by meditating every morning. That's the first thing, and then you can come back to me, and then we can talk again. I say, because it's like I think they get a little bit lost in their head what a high performer need to do and actually do for a long time to function. And I start off my mornings like 5:30, something like that, and I do my morning routine, and it's like 30 minutes. I put on the coffee machine, and I go to my hydrogen bottle of water and put that on, and I take out the dishes, and then I go meditate and breathe for like 10 minutes, and then I put on like a focus band that I actually use now, called Mendy.
I was
Mendy is actually,
waiting for to hear, like, is there no element of music here? Because
yeah, it
I
is.
some rock element here that I'm just waiting for, but no.
Yeah. I have music in the air when I
Yeah.
do all this. Yeah. So I'm doing different stuff in my 30 minutes, and it ends up by drinking some coffee. It's like my life savior in the morning, and then I actually put on Mendy, and Mendy is for my focus. I have 10 minutes on Mendy when it actually measures my brain activity and my breathing and my focus during 10 minutes, and that's super hard for me to actually stay focused on the ball rolling forward up and just focusing on that. And for me, it's actually I'm a little bit nerdy in finding things and fine-tuning things and optimizing myself and my environment. I think it comes it's to the role as a coach, of course. I think it's a little bit nerdy.
Measuring success is something I like to do, and for me, it's a balance. It's a balance of
Mm.
not only what you perform at work, but also how you perform in your relationship with your training, with your sleep, with your diet. It's all kind of connected into one. If you feeling good, it's way easier to create good results, right?
Mm.
And to also like kind of give away that magnetic energy to your surrounding.
Mm.
I uh, I didn't understand this until now, later years, how important that has been for my personal development and
Mm.
growth. Uh, but I've seen people with this energy throughout my entire career. You know, these particular people that's always with a smile, that's spreading good energy around them. They don't create drama or chaos, or
Mm.
it's just a certain energy, right,
Mm.
around certain top performing people, and
Mm.
that is not just like going up, grinding, and doing 18 hours per day for the
Mm.
next 5 years, right?
Mm.
It's a balance of lots of
Mm.
elements. And
Mm.
on the topic measuring, what will you say? Well, what's the KPIs you're keeping track on? What do you like?
Oh, many KPIs, but I actually think that you summarize it so nice, Christian, because it's kind of for me a top performer is actually a person that has created this environment during a travel, right? Because it suddenly it doesn't happen, right? It's hard work, and you maybe get stuck and you shift focus and you do other stuff and you try out things and I think you summarize it in a good way that when you're in a place where you're actually super happy and feeling good inside, uh, uh, and you wouldn't be feeling that happy if your family was lost, right? Your kids were unhappy, you were terrible at your job, and all the other stuff. So it's kind of it's a combined thing to actually live well, feel good in a long term, right? And suddenly you wake up. That's like my inspiration thing. Like suddenly I wake up like 80 years old or something, and have grandchildren and are really. I have this place where I actually have done so many different things that I'm proud of and in a good place, creating the life that I actually want to live. And that has actually nothing to do with money. True, yeah, half true, because I need the money to actually be living the dream or the life that I want to live. So I need the money, of course, and but the money for me has always been like a consequence of all the good things that I'm doing, all the hard work, my consistency,
Consistency, yeah.
yeah, to actually keep on doing this all the time. And I have one Achilles, of course, because my family means a lot to me. I have a large family because it's five in my family, but then I have the brothers and the siblings and everything. So we're large and we really tight. So my Achilles is actually when they don't feel so good, when someone is struggling in my relationship circle, because that's something that I can't control, right? Fully, and that's a little bit painful sometimes. So if there's something that I'm still looking for to actually get rid of that feeling when somebody in my circle doesn't feel so good. That could be tough sometimes, I think, to handle.
But that's love, right?
That's love and that's life, right? And the only thing you can actually be in that sentence is present, right?
Yeah.
They can call you, you call them, you keep in touch, you ask them how they feel, if you can help them or in any way. And I remember like my starting this coaching thing for 4 years ago, and then I've been coaching people early days, of course, in other roles. But when I started this coaching career for 4 years ago, I'm starting practicing in my in my friends and my family, and they were so tired of me because I thought it was like I was giving them all my good advices, right? But they were like, "Can you please shut up? We don't want to hear your good advices anymore." So then I started realize that coaching isn't anything about like giving good advice. It's like being there for people and making them grow. And if they ask you, you can of course have the expertise to answer them in good ways because you have the knowledge and you have the things, the tools in your box, right? But finding the client should find out themselves what they need, and I only color some of the pieces, right, or put some pieces in place or color them. Actually, that's what I do as a coach today, I think. So I talk a little bit more less and actually let them find their way with some support.
You obviously get a lot of incoming inquiries when being in the position that you're in, but do you still handling a lot of objections in your sales and in your sales process, talking to clients?
Oh yeah, always,
Yeah,
always be selling. I mean, I have so many hats on in my role, and the book meeting hat or the selling hat or the convincing hat or anything. Actually, they're on all the time actually. So when I meet up clients, I actually run this sales process from A to the end, and I always look for a yes or a no, right? And I control these different type of steps in phases thoroughly. I
yeah.
mean, I'm really super nerdy to sales process because that's kind of what it's all about, right? You start off in one angle and you end it in another, and during that steps or phases you actually need to bring it. Otherwise, you're losing the client.
What would you say for anybody who wants to dig into this type of sales training and development? Where do they start? Obviously, they
Mm.
can come and work with Sweden's number one sales coach, but if they can't afford the number one sales coach, what would you suggest? Where can they start by?
I think there's so many things you can find for free, right? Free information on the net today. If you're eager to learn, and I mean, I learn every day. I'm really on the top and really good at my game. That doesn't mean that I'm already there, right? So I'm so curious for learning new stuff and looking for new stuff. And I learn from every people that I actually educate in the room. So I'm really super eager to look around the next corner, what's there. And I think um, that's a problem today, that many sales guys that I meet, they think they're so good. They think they're top on their games and they don't need to learn anymore. And that's the biggest problem, right? With leaders and sales top people today, that always progress, always start being curious or asking questions. Don't lay back and think that you have done it, right? Because then it's over. It's for me that that's the easiest way of actually learning, finding things and being curious, and that's for free, right? You
Yeah.
have pods, and we have a pod called We Love Sales People that we have from Advisor Partner, where we have different type of 1 hour actually nerding down to different subjects, and I think that's for the high end in sales.
Maybe we can
some
link
of
that in the description for people if they
yeah,
want
yeah.
to check it out.
Of course, and I mean it's in Swedish. So that's a little bit sad for the English audience, but if you're Swedish or Norwegian or even Finnish or Danish, you can actually understand it, of course. But it's the nerdy ones, because the ones that are a little bit far behind, that they actually don't understand it. They think it's too long, but I think it's fantastic to nerd down in 1 hour and talk about sales.
Yeah. On that topic, I'm gonna show you something we built, Jerry. We have taken over 975 documents, including our sales transcripts, our method in how our whole growth strategy look like, and we turned that all down into a large language model, so you can isolate that data and talk only to that data. So now we actually have a sales coach where you can put on the voice and you can speak to it. You can do objection training. You can ask for the next task to dig into from where you're standing right now. Super cool.
A digital sales coach.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm out of here.
No,
Let's
that's
talk
the
later.
thing.
No.
That's the thing. Jerry, we need people like you in
Yeah,
order to educate, you know. And I did this finding this last week when we are entering this program with a guy called Kyle, and in this training, Kyle was providing us documentation. Like most documentation would look like, you had an index with what pages you find what, and it navigates down to this tree, right? But
and
925
yeah.
documents is a lot to take in, and when
Yeah.
you're trying to build something after a specific method or a course or whatever it is that to implement, you need to go back and forth to that material, right? And okay, where did I read that, and how was it, and what did it say about that part? So it's just an easier way to, for me as a user, to receive the data.
Yeah, and to be crystal clear on the topic, Christian, I mean, the digital modern salesperson today, they use AI, they use digital tools, they use, of course, relationship as a tool. They use so many things actually to succeed and be the best out there. So you can't kind of think that AI and bots are not the future. Of course, it's a supplement. We use it as a complement to our roles, and of course, when I'm leaving the room, somebody actually need to convince them or help them when I'm leaving the room. Sometimes it's kind of it's good compliment. I love AI and what it brings into the sales force.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. I've kind of been in that rabbit hole for 2 years now, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna stop. It's just gonna be deeper, right? So interesting future ahead. On that topic, where do you use AI today? Where do you see the biggest use for it?
Oh, so many angles. I mean, it's kind of we have our own bot at Advisor Partner, where we actually been filled with all the knowledge that we actually had founded in 22 years. So we have been stealing information right from good companies, organizations, and put it down in this bot, and we use it for preparation before the meetings. We use it for LinkedIn posts. We use it for actually anything that saves us time, right? And sometimes it's kind of, I mean, it's giving me the best answer because it's the best material that we actually found out there. So for us, it's kind of a super useful tool in so many places. You can even, I mean, try to book meetings with a bot, right? So you can practice on that one. So it's so many things that you actually can use it for. But I mean, you're the expert in this subject, so
That's
I
why
push
I'm
the ball.
curious, you know?
I push the ball over to you, Christian, because this is your area, and I know you're good at this. So what my question to you is, what do you see for the future bringing into sales? Because I guess that we only scratch the surface, right? It's kind of It's new for the most of the people out there, and some of the guys and the girls that are actually teaching, they're super afraid of it. It's kind of, oh, we don't know what that is, so they're still there, right? Many
Yes.
of them.
And we have, I mean, on that field right now, we have
Mm.
big leaders that jumping off these largest enterprises that sits on the different models, right? Let's say I don't want to be a part of this. It's got another line. Like we are worried where it ends up.
Mm.
As with all shifts, we've had this scarcity of, a 2000 different areas of time, and where profession has vanished and new has grown to come. So
Mm.
I'm not so worried about the future. I think that we will work together and work something out of it.
Mm. But how do you
You.
see do you see some struggle? Because I could see some struggle when you come from a marketing perspective. Sometimes
Yeah,
you want the easy way out of selling, right? I see it all the time. When you have your marketing hat on, you want to push like a button that spreads the internet with different type of things, and you want leads in, and you want the easy way out sometimes.
yeah.
And it's not easy to sell. You need to bring different tools to the table, and I can see sometimes a little bit risk of people choosing the easy way out. It's like like when I was a personal trainer, right? They asked me like, okay, I want to build muscles. Yeah, okay. I put up a program for you, and then they didn't join the program. I go, yeah. Can't we just skip the program and I get the muscles anyway? No, you can't do that, right? And you know as well as I do that many people look for shortcuts.
Yeah.
They want to take the easy way out. So how do you handle that part? Is there a risk that people think that AI will solve anything? That's my question.
I think that's from my perspective, feels like we're heading into some form of software-free society,
Mm,
because like from where we're standing now, building stacks for enterprises that doesn't have any legacy since before, where we just build brand new.
mm,
Um, it's so easy, right? Like we spin up a homepage with logo and text and mobile adjusted things that we would charge clients on our time uh,
mm,
500,000 for, and would be 6 months of work is now a couple of prompts and you're up and running. Don't even have to think about hosting and
mm,
certificates, plugins, this stuff like. Uh, so we reduce the need for software and code and all the professions around that. But
mm,
at the same time, the creativity, the ability to ask the right questions, write the correct prompts, right, becomes more and more of a valuable skill set. So I think we're moving into a direction where creativity going to have a way bigger role. Your ability to think many steps forward in order to get an outcome of how you're prompting the AI, or what chain of prompts you're putting in there. I also see an extreme power. Like I
mm,
will give you an example of the sales organization. They have approximately 200 reps, and all of them taking calls on Zoom. So you have setters and closers and sales manager in this organization, and um, a sales VP who managing the whole machinery. And
mm,
they've seen their stats go down over a half a year, and they can't really put their finger on where they're going wrong.
mm,
Um, like when you think of AI, you think of this voice assistant that do cold calls, or you think of
mm,
a chatbot in the right down corner on a website, or an annoying voice when you call to your electrical company,
mm,
But there's so much more to it, right? And
mm,
just to be able to have AI operating on your back end, doing things
mm,
for you, like going into the old archive of Zoom calls, uh,
mm,
collecting all your transcripts,
mm,
indexing that in one long file. All of a
mm,
sudden, you can speak to your sales history.
mm,
How valuable, right? Like you have a diligence of
Super.
your entire communication stack for the last 6 months of time, being able to look things at, like, have we had a positive segment sentiment or a negative sentiment
Mm,
overall in average of our
mm,
calls? Is there more monologue than dialogue? There's a lot of questions we can ask ourselves to where we do wrong, right, in our
mm,
sales process. But
mm,
being able to ask that, like, what's
mm,
our three most common objections?
mm,
As good as me, go in and ask a CEO that on a normal mid-sized company, he'll just pull something out of his sleeve,
mm,
but in reality, it's something different, right?
mm, mm,
And the only way to really find out is to record and
mm, mm,
analyze and learn. So I
mm,
think it's going to have a huge part in being able to assist us,
mm,
uh, and in a more responsive way. I had a
mm,
really interesting interview yesterday with a guy called Far Patel. He is in charge of the AI employee on Go High Level, and we were talking a little about where he see the future development, and they are really like in the forefront of AI right now. So his take on it is that what they're sitting on now and developing is more autonomous bot that will act more like a virtual assistant. So instead of you telling the AI, hey, write me a blog post, or send me this email, or make me this campaign, it will more be like, hi, I see that this is trending, so I wrote you these 3 blog posts. Would you like me to
mm,
push one of them? Or
mm,
see that you have duplicated contacts in your CRM. These two
mm,
seem the same. Do you want me to merge them?
mm,
And being able to track success, say in your position, or advisor partner's position, you have all these clients, right, that you work
mm,
with. You have an entire set of data and collected information from all the years of CRM collection from those clients, right?
mm.
And that knowledge brings a lot of secrets to what's working and what's not.
Exactly.
If you can, visualize where it's
Mm,
working and what's not,
mm,
right?
yeah.
So by looking at our history, understanding what we've done, we can also make sure that we have a better performance on those KPIs in the future. So
Mm,
I think
mm,
we have a super important part there in keeping the company stack together and
mm,
all channels connected into like a real-time report where
mm,
you talk to your client, to your
mm,
company, rather than looking numbers in a dashboard.
mm,
That's my guess on it.
mm. I like it. Of course, and I mean, the time saving in that, and actually finding out what you should take action on, all those things are super cool. And I don't think that the most people out there see that part. They don't understand that AI can even do that. They look at the voice method, or the phone call, or the reaching out post, right? Not what they do on the back end. And that's, I think that is even more cool from my perspective. The cleaning part.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Yeah,
one's
yeah.
cleaning, right? And here you can have someone taking care of like segmenting, bam, follow-ups.
How many clients do you think meet where they actually don't segment their lists of focusing client where they should work, right?
I
They have no idea, the most of the companies. It's like when I'm asking a question like, okay, who's your target group? Have you segmented your lists of companies that they actually want to work with? And they're like, and I'm like, what? You haven't even done that, right? Where's your ambassadors, or why are they your ambassadors? That's even a better question. Why is this your target group? And that's something that AI, of course, can give them answer to. So that's it's so many things. When you start thinking of possibilities of AI, it's like my brain almost kind of explode, because it's, you see so many business in it, from my angle.
i- if you would give three really good advice to someone that's fresh on the market, just started up and working on building their sales organization, what would that be?
Oh, train, take help, like I said earlier. Take help in the early stages, and sometimes it's like we don't have the money to take. Oh, but honestly, do wrong from the beginning and then take in help. I don't think that's a good way of starting. Bring in help from experts, and then of course train your team. Right? If you have salespersons and you don't train them, they don't get better. You can't kind of expect that you should be like a really good soccer player today on a high level, but you only play games, right? You never practice. You only play games in the Saturdays and expect that it will be fantastic results, right? That's like ridiculous. So when you kind of look at it from a sport perspective, it gets crystal clear for me. Of course, we practice during the weeks, right? We plan everything, we prepare, and then it's game day, right, on the Saturday. And in sales teams today, you can ask them questions like, when did you have sales practice? And they're like, we haven't done that for the whole year. And in some cases, the sales managers even don't hold like sales meetings. So it's kind of, it's so many things that you take for granted, right? That it should just work. But if you want to be on the top level and being really good at anything in your life, you have to put down the work. So that's the second thing, right? Bring in help, do the training and the practice, and don't ever forget that everyone that's doing this business, like the pressure and the this constant like getting back to the phase one again and starting off, like bringing in the money, that's hard, right, for the head or for the body. So you need to train your body and your head as well. If you want to have a functional team that should work for a long time and they will feel good, bring in sports and the practice for your body as well in your organizations. That's super important. Then they can perform, right?
Yeah. So number one, taking help. Number two,
Taking
physical workout as well. So
Yeah, a physical workout, of course, physical workout and the practice in for the sales team. I think that's tied together because I see the best environments that I see, the best cultures I see out there in organization. Those are the ones that actually, from the leading board, they're actually telling the staff like, on this company, we need to practice, train our body, and we're putting in money for you guys to feel good. And if you're not on, you can actually choose other companies. So important today that they bring in like the health thing from the start. Like it's not like you can choose this way or this way. You actually in good companies, when they really should think about who Christian is and how he feels, then they should actually take it this real this subject training and on the in the organization. I think it's super important. And if I
that's
would own a company, I would actually force everyone. I would say like, okay, maybe you're not right for this company, because in this company we truly believe that you should feel really good about yourself, and we're taking your health under 100% focus. That's super important for us. So if you're not on that, and I'm not telling you guys to actually like grind from 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just telling you that it should be that important in organizations. And if they don't want to join under those premises, I mean, that's fine. But I think it's super important in this stressful environment with all the pressure and things happening. So I think it's super important to take that under consideration if you own a company today.
on that note,
Mm,
understanding what works for Christian. I have a colleague here, Andreas, a super smart
mm,
guy,
mm,
a Swede who lives in Florida.
mm,
He's been developing systems and worked as high ticket closer.
mm,
Very talented guy.
mm,
He has a passion for AI, just like
mm,
myself, and he did his measurements on his brain, where
mm,
he was fed these questions that will make him feel different things. Okay? To where like he was asked to do different things, and at the same time he's receiving these questions, they're measuring the brain waves in him on 8 different like reporting points. So over under in the front and over under in the back, and every time he reacted positive, it would light up on the screen on a picture of a brain to what part it lights up and what feeling it's connected to. And after doing that, it's very like well chosen range of questions, right, to understand what type of personality, what type of work Andreas like. Okay, that result he took and he pushed it into Notebook LM, which is Google's LLM, where you can upload documents and capsule that into that environment and talk with it or create a podcast on it. So now all of a sudden he has a podcast of 2 people talking about the results from his brain, elaborating on Andreas' personality type and what type of person Andreas is. Now all of a sudden Andreas' colleagues can listen to what type of person Andreas is and
That's so cool.
what motivates him.
That's super cool. I think I love that part, and just to see what triggers your brain and what you really goes off for. That's super cool. I love that part. Maybe you think about what's happening in my forehead. I don't know if the camera see.
What happened there?
I mean, I have this thing. We talked about it earlier, you and me, Christian, that I never say no to training, right? So if somebody asks me, do you want to practice with me? I say, yeah, hell yes, of course. And yesterday I was with my 70-year-old son William, and we went to a place called Naka Dojo, and we were actually grappling with. I mean, I'm over the hill, right? I'm too old for this shit. But this guy that practiced at this place, he invited me and asked me, and he's really good, right? And he was smashing me, and I got beaten and everything in 2 hours there. But afterwards, I did my cold bath, I did my sauna, and then I'm back to normal again. But that's a nice thing to do, right? You never say no to practice if you can do it, and I love that part. I think it's nice.
Yeah, I told you earlier, I heard you mention that at some point, probably at the office or somewhere, and I said I'm gonna copy that. Like, and I've been holding strict on it as well. Someone asks me out on a hike or go boxing or swimming or whatever. Like, I don't want to miss out on those things. Yeah, I want to feel that I'm active, and it gets too boring to just have one thing, right? Like, I could not do only football or only basketball, or only boxing. Like, we need to have a variety of things with our
Totally
type. I think.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
The mix of everything that makes you feel good. That's like the recipe.
What I take from that is we have a Swedish candy called Gottenblandat, right?
Yeah, we have.
I reckon there's 2 type of people. It's the one that takes one candy at a time, taste them. It's the one that take half a hand and shove them in and wants all the flavors at the same time. Which
exactly.
Which you?
Yeah, I'm the last one. I'm actually I want so many things in my life to actually feel good or do things, and I think it's again, to have a happy life, it's actually a mix of different things, right? I talk about this life puzzle with many of my clients, and I think it's so interesting to see that so many people do it differently, right? They have the same, usually like the same thing that they going after for, but they do it so differently, and that's human, right? And I always tell them, you need to find your thing, right? Your mix of flavors, your recipe, or your thing to do, to actually kick everything in your life. And I think it's
unique and
I
dynamic.
think I found it.
I think you have too. And look
Thanks.
happy, Jerry.
Yeah, but you only see like the Instagram picture of me, right?
No, but
No, no, no.
we talked the other
We
day
know each other.
now,
Yeah.
and I can totally tune into your energy and see just by
Oh,
the way you
thanks.
look that you do well. Jerry, it's
Thanks.
been a pleasure to have you here talking. I hope I get to see you here again. I would
Yeah.
like to ask you before we cut if there's
Mm.
someone you like to recommend to come on here that will be valuable for us to speak to.
Oh, there's so many interesting people out there, but it depends on what type of people you want to speak to. But I have an interesting character called Marcus Enquist that I think you would like. Today sales manager at a company called Cappi. So he's a good guy. I
What
think
does
he's
he do at Cappi?
what?
What do they do at Cappi?
Oh, they actually have a model for shifting payment in organizations today. You've always been having your salary like the 25th in Sweden,
Yeah.
but they're shifting that to a new thing. But he's transforming to new thinking in that area. Is an interesting company.
I appreciate that, Darren. Okay, thank you very much to have you here. I really appreciate it, and I hope to
Thank
see
you,
you
Christian.
again.
Talk to you soon.